Africa, the second largest continent in the world, home to 1.2 billion people and the birthplace of humanity. It is clear to see that this part of the world is steeped in history. Since the pharaohs of ancient Egypt, African civilizations have been able to accomplish amazing achievements, yet many of us don't know about them, partly because they no longer exist. So in this episode of African History, we'll explore 3 African accomplishments and why they no longer exist today. Number 3. One of the largest libraries in the ancient world. The Library of Alexandria is said to be one of the largest and most significant libraries in the ancient world, and was an immense accomplishment for the ancient Egyptians. Built during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, the main purpose of the library was to show us the vast amount of wealth the ancient Egyptians held at the time, and the research aspect of the library was just a perk. That being said, the Egyptians were aggressive in their pursuit of knowledge and intended the library to be a collection of all the knowledge in the world. In order to achieve this, royal guards were deployed with large amounts of money to purchase as many texts as possible, regardless of the author or the subject matter. Furthermore, according to the ancient Greek medical writer Galen, any books found on ships that came into ports were taken to the library, where they were copied and translated by official scribes. At the height of the library's popularity, it is said to have housed up to 400,000 scrolls, which is roughly equivalent to 100,000 books. However, all good things must come to an end. The modern myth that the library came to an abrupt end after a fire completely wiped it out is muddled with a piece of truth. In 48 BC, during Caesar's civil war, Julius Caesar was being besieged in Alexandria. In order to combat this, his soldiers started a fire by burning their own ships in order to block their enemy from advancing any further. However, this fire quickly got out of hand and burned throughout the city, only destroying part of the library. Since Caesar's civil war, the library slowly declined along with the city of Alexandria during Roman occupation. The combination of a lack of funding and the brain drain as scholars left for other cities led to the fall of the library. It is unclear when exactly the library was completely wiped out, but due to the numerous invasions the city was victim to, by 275 AD, the library no longer existed, only destroying part 4 times larger than the Great Wall of China. The Great Walls of Benin was said to be the world's largest earthwork prior to the mechanical era in the 1974 edition of the Guinness Book of Records, covering 16,000 kilometers in length, which is equivalent to the distance from London to India. The Walls of Benin was once a significant structure that protected the Kingdom of Benin and their people. The Kingdom of Benin, located in southern Nigeria, had begun construction of this Great Wall around 800 AD and didn't finish until 1400 AD. The wall was made out of clay from the surrounding area and was said to be 9 meters high. Furthermore, it is estimated that the walls enclosed an area of roughly 6,500 kilometers squared, which is equivalent to the size of 5 New York cities. So what happened to the Walls of Benin, and why don't they exist today? Due to being made out of clay, the walls naturally succumbed to the effects of weathering. Over the hundreds of years, rain will soften the clay, then this will be washed down with continued rain. Additionally, the British conducted a punitive expedition in retaliation for the murder of the acting Consul General James Robert Phillips, who died after he tried to conduct a Trojan horse-style invasion on the city of Benin, which the Benin saw through. During the punitive expedition, the city of Benin was savagely looted, with significant buildings deliberately torched to the ground. Many of the artifacts stolen from the kingdom were auctioned off in order to pay for this invasion. Once under British rule, the British used what was left of the walls extensively as a source of building material. It wasn't until 1995 when whatever little was left of the Great Wall became protected under UNESCO World Heritage. Number 1. Inspiring Black Panther. If you're like the millions of people around the world that saw Black Panther and thought that the Dora Milaje were amazing, well, it turns out that these fearsome female warriors did in fact exist. The tribe I'm referring to and what gave Stanley his inspiration for the Dora Milaje are known as the Dahomey Amazons. The Kingdom of Dahomey was a civilization that was based in the modern-day Republic of Benin that lasted between 1600 and 1904. The name Dahomey Amazons was given to them by the British. However, in their native language, they were referred to as Minnow, which translates to our mothers. The unit of female warriors were only elephant hunters to begin with, but as time went on, slowly transitioned into becoming a unit within the Dahomey army. The Dahomey Amazons were extremely disciplined and well trained, and were able to use rifles, clubs, and knives. At the height of their power, up to 6,000 women were part of this army. The women were forbidden to marry and have children, but were legally the king's wives. They were well paid and held high social status. So what happened to these fearsome warriors? On the 21st of February 1890, the first Franco-Dahomeyan War commenced between the Dahomey Kingdom and the French. The Dahomey Amazons and the rest of the Dahomeyan army took a crashing blow against the French, resulting up to 2,000 deaths and many more wounded. Despite this loss and a subsequent treaty, the Kingdom of Dahomey and the French still couldn't resolve their issues, and by 1892, a second Franco-Dahomeyan War began. The Kingdom of Dahomey took even more losses, with up to 4,000 deaths and 3,000 wounded. In this weakened state, the Kingdom of Dahomey was incorporated into the French colony. Now that Dahomey was under French control, the French disbanded the Dahomey Amazons. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you in December for my next video. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram where I post daily facts and other African history related content. And lastly, keep learning.